El Paso, no distractions, no outside noise. Every eye was locked onto one place, the stage. And that night, the stage was no longer just a performance space. It became something else, something filled with subtle signals, precise movements, and interactions that made thousands of fans feel like time itself had slowed down. The opening seconds, positions that raised questions. As the opening track began, the formation of the members looked clean and powerful. But almost immediately, fans noticed something unusual. The distance between two figures felt closer than expected. Kim Tae-young stood slightly forward, while Chun Jungkook positioned himself, diagonally yet always visually connected to him. Every shift in formation somehow placed them within each other's line of sight. Coincidence? Or intentional staging? Choreography transitions that felt too perfect. As the second song kicked in, the choreography intensified. Movements became sharper, faster, more complex. Yet, in the middle of that intensity, the synchronization between Taeyoung and Jungkook stood out. When one turned, the other adjusted instantly. When one stepped back, the other filled the space without hesitation. No collisions. No mistiming. It almost looked like they didn't need to look at each other to know exactly where the other was. Eye contact in the middle of intensity. During the chorus, the spotlight shifted rapidly between members. When it landed on Taeyoung, he didn't look at the camera. Instead, he turned slightly to the side. And there, Jungkook was already looking at him. Their eyes met. Brief? Not quite. Long enough for thousands of fans to notice at the same time. The crowd erupted. But on stage, they continued performing as if nothing had happened. The too close crossing moment, midway through the third track, the members crossed paths as part of the choreography. Each had their own route, but that night, Taeyoung and Jungkook crossed the same line. And in a split second, their shoulders nearly brushed. Not a mistake. There was no hesitation, no correction. Instead, a subtle smile appeared on Jungkook's face. The hand gesture that cameras caught, the giant screen zoomed in, capturing every detail. As the beat slowed, Taeyoung lowered his hand. Jungkook, right beside him, mirrored the movement. What caught attention was this. Their timing was almost identical. Fans immediately began questioning. Was this just performance instinct? Or something built from deep familiarity? The sitting moment that changed the energy. As the music softened, members spread across the stage freely. Taeyoung chose to sit at the edge. A few seconds later, Jungkook walked toward him. No rush. No hesitation. And then he sat right beside him. The distance between them? Closer than what fans were used to seeing. There was no choreography demanding it. No visual cue forcing it. Yet they stayed there, side by side. Non-verbal interactions that stole the show. For a few seconds, nothing dramatic happened. No big gestures. No loud actions. Just small details. Taeyoung looking down with a soft smile. Jungkook tilting his head slightly, both laughing at almost the exact same moment. No microphones picked up their words. And maybe that's what made it even more intense. What were they saying? Back to choreography, but something had shifted. As the beat picked up again, all members returned to formation. Everything looked professional, sharp, controlled, but something had clearly changed. Their energy felt lighter, more natural, more alive. As if something had just happened, something only the two of them understood. The final moment before exit. At the end of the concert, all members lined up for their final bow. Lights dimmed. Music softened. Taeyoung stepped back. Jungkook stood near him. And then, in one small but noticeable motion, Jungkook adjusted his step to align perfectly beside him. Not ahead. Not behind. Exactly beside. And together, they walked off stage in the same rhythm. A night that left more questions than answers. No statements were made. No confirmations were given. Only fragments of moments now circulating across the world. But for those who witnessed it live, one thing felt undeniable. This was not just another concert. It was a sequence of interactions too synchronized to ignore, too natural to dismiss, and too mysterious to fully explain in a single night. El Paso, hours after the concert ended, the noise outside the venue had faded. But online, it only got louder. Clips were replayed. Frames were slowed down. Every second from that night was being dissected by fans across the world. Because what happened on that stage didn't feel accidental. The moment nitrogen monoxide one noticed until now. At first, it looked like just another transition between songs. The lights dimmed slightly. The beat dropped into a softer instrumental. Members repositioned themselves across the stage. But in one angle captured by a fan from the left side, something subtle appeared. Kim Tae-young turned his body slightly, not toward the audience, but toward Jungkook. Not fully, just enough to suggest awareness. And in that exact same second, Jungkook adjusted his stance. Not part of the choreography, not mirrored by other members. Just the two of them, timing that defied choreography. Fans began comparing this moment with previous performances from other cities. Same song, same choreography, same beat, but something didn't match. In other shows, their movements followed strict timing. In El Paso, there were micro delays, tiny pauses, almost invisible, but enough to suggest they were reacting to each other, not just the music. The second eye contact more intense than the first. Most people talked about the first eye contact, but few noticed the second. It happened during a high-energy segment, the kind where breathing gets heavier, movements sharper, expressions more intense. Tae-young turned quickly during a spin, and for a split second, their eyes locked again. This time, it wasn't soft. It wasn't subtle. It was intense. Jungkook didn't look away immediately, and neither did Tae-young. The crowd screamed, but what stood out wasn't the scream. It was how neither of them broke character. They stayed in the moment, as if the world outside the stage didn't exist. The step that didn't belong. Mid-performance, there was a formation shift meant to separate the members into two sides. Everyone moved accordingly, except Jungkook took one extra step. A small one, barely noticeable. But that step brought him slightly closer to Tae-young than the formation required. Was it a mistake? Unlikely, because he didn't correct it. He stayed there, comfortably. The laugh that changed everything. Then came a moment fans are now calling the breaking point. During a lighter segment, when the energy briefly relaxed, Tae-young said something. No mic caught it clearly, but Jungkook reacted instantly. He laughed. Not a controlled stage laugh. A real one. His shoulders moved. His expression softened completely. And for a second, he looked younger, more relaxed, more real. Tae-young noticed, and he smiled back. Camera cuts that missed the moment. Interestingly, the official camera feed didn't focus on them during several of these interactions. Instead, it cut to wide shots, or to other members. El Paso, the concert may have ended, but the stage never really went quiet. Because long after the lights went out, fans began doing something unusual. They didn't just rewatch the performance. They studied it, frame by frame, second by second, looking for answers hidden in plain sight. The freeze moment that changed the narrative. One clip in particular started spreading rapidly. It wasn't dramatic at first glance. No big movement, no obvious interaction. But when paused at the exact right second, everything shifted. Kim Tae-young stood still during a transition beat, completely still, while the rest of the stage remained in motion. And then his gaze shifted, not toward the audience, not toward the camera, but toward Jungkook. It lasted less than a second, but when slowed down, it felt intentional. The delay that didn't match the music. Fans began syncing the performance with the original track. Something felt off, not wrong, just different. At one point, Jungkook's movement landed slightly after the beat. a fraction late, but instead of correcting, Taeyoung's next move adjusted with it. As if the timing between them mattered more than the music itself? The shoulder turn nitrogen monoxide one talked about. During a formation shift near the center stage, there was a moment almost everyone missed live. Jungkook turned his body, but not fully, just his shoulder, angled slightly toward Taeyoung. Subtle, controlled, but repeated twice. Not part of the choreography, not mirrored by others, just him. The mic adjustment that felt like a signal. Another clip revealed something even more curious. Taeyoung lifted his mic, then lowered it again, quickly, almost like a hesitation. Right after that, Jungkook glanced sideways, then nodded once. A small motion, but enough to make fans question. Was that communication? The distance that kept changing. Throughout the performance, one pattern kept appearing. The distance between them never stayed constant. Closer during transitions. Slightly apart during group formations. Closer again during free movement. It didn't follow a fixed stage design. It felt fluid, as if the spacing wasn't just choreographed, but chosen in the moment. The half-second smile caught on camera. In one of the clearest fan cams, a moment appeared that many are now calling impossible to ignore. Taeyoung finished a line, turned slightly, and Jungkook, already looking, gave a small smile. Not wide, not exaggerated, just enough. And it lasted half a second. But in slow motion, it stretched into something much bigger. The energy shift during the final set. As the last songs began, the stage energy reached its peak. Explosive movements, powerful vocals, loudest crowd of the night. And yet, within that intensity, their interactions didn't disappear. They became sharper, more defined. Almost as if, with less time left, they stopped holding back subtlety.